A woman entered her kitchen and found her boyfriend waving a fly swatter. "What in heaven's name are you up to?" she asked. "Killing flies," he said. "Oh, get any?" "Yep, 2 males, 3 females," he answered. "Oh, come on." "How do you tell them apart?" "2 were on a beer can, 3 were on the phone. One dot dot dot." An old man was a witness in a burglary case. The defense lawyer asked Sam, "Did you see my client commit this burglary?" "Yes," said Sam. "I saw him plainly take the goods." The lawyer asked Sam again, "Sam, this happened at night. Are you sure you saw my client commit this crime?" "Yes," says Sam. "I saw him do it." Then the lawyer asks Sam, "Sam, listen, you are an 80-year-old and your eyesight is probably bad. Just how far can you see at night?" Sam says, "I can see the moon." "How far is that?" "Rendu." After some months, she wakes up in a hospital bed, and as she gains consciousness, she realizes that her pregnancy belly is gone. A doctor is standing next to her bed, greeting her. "Hello, you have been in a coma for 6 months, but don't worry, you are on good health and will be released soon." She anxiously asks him, "Doctor, what happened?" "What happened to my baby?" "Don't worry about it. The birth went well and your babies are alive and healthy." The doctor replies, "Babies? What do you mean, babies?" "Ma'am, you had twins, a boy and a girl. Your brother has been taking care of them since their birth." "My brother?" "Oh no, but he's an idiot. What did he name them?" The woman exclaims. "He named the girl Denise," the doctor says. "That's not so bad." The woman replies, "What did he name the boy?" "Danefew." 3 dots. A priest is driving down the road when he comes across a pig lying dead in the road. He contacts the police to inform them of his find. A cocky desk sergeant laughed and said, "Did you give it the last rites?" "No," said the priest. "I thought I'd inform his next of kin first." Nanga. A farrier was called out to work at a wealthy doctor's horse barn. Normally, the doctor's wife would be there to help hold the horses, but this time, the doctor himself came out to meet him. As the farrier worked, he casually asked, "Where's your wife today?" The doctor sighed and said, "She doesn't live here anymore." Curious, the farrier asked, "Oh, what happened?" The doctor explained, "Well, we started having problems with our septic tank, not something you'd expect in a brand new house. So we called someone out to take a look. My wife and I stood there as the guy dug it up and opened the lid." The doctor paused, then added, "Let's just say there were a lot of items floating on top that I've never had a use for." The farrier raised an eyebrow. The doctor simply shrugged and said, "I've had a vasectomy." Paunch. While a soldier was stationed overseas, he received a Dear John letter from his girlfriend. In the letter, she told him that she had dated a couple of other guys while he was away and wanted to end their relationship. Adding insult to injury, she also asked him to return the photo of herself that she had given him. In response, the Marine came up with a clever plan. He went around to his fellow Marines, collecting all the unwanted photos of women they had. By the end, he had gathered more than 25 different pictures. He then mailed the whole collection back to his ex, with a note that read, "I'm not sure which one is you. Please take your photo and send the others back." A woman asks her husband if he would remarry if she died. The husband said, We all need someone, so I guess. Yeah." The wife asked, "If I died and you remarried, would she live in this house?" The husband answers, "We paid a lot of money on this house to get it the way we wanted, so yes." The wife asked again, "Well, if I died and you remarried and she lives in this house, would she sleep on our bed?" The husband replies, The bed is relatively new, and it's going to last a while, so yes. The wife asked, Then, if I died, you remarried, she lives in this house and sleeps in our bed, then would she use my golf clubs? The husband replies, Oh, don't be silly, she's left-handed. Saat Dushamlov. A woman was having a passionate affair with an Irish inspector from a pest control company. One afternoon they were carrying on in the bedroom together when her husband arrived home unexpectedly. Quick, said the woman to the lover, into the closet. And she pushed him in the closet, stark naked. The husband, however, became suspicious, and after a search of the bedroom, discovered the man in the closet. Who are you? He asked him. I'm an inspector from Bugs Be Gone, said the exterminator. What are you doing in there? The husband asked. I'm investigating a complaint about an infestation of moths, the man replied. And where are your clothes? Asked the husband. The man looked down at himself and said, Those little bastards. Yet a man was at the airport counter, checking in his luggage. He said to the agent, I'm flying to Los Angeles, but I'd like this bag to go to Portland, this one to Albuquerque, and that one to Sioux Falls. The agent looked taken aback and replied, I'm sorry, sir, but we can't do that. Why not? The man asked, grinning. You managed it just fine last time. 9. Two nicely dressed ladies happened to start up a conversation during an endless wait at the LAX airport. The first lady was an arrogant California woman married to a wealthy man. The second was a well-mannered, elderly woman from the South. When the conversation centered on whether they had any children, the California woman started by saying, When my first child was born, my husband built a beautiful mansion for me. The lady from the South commented, Well, isn't that precious? The first woman continued, When my second child was born, my husband bought me a beautiful Mercedes-Benz. Again, the lady from the South commented, Well, isn't that precious? The first woman continued boasting, Then, when my third child was born, my husband bought me this exquisite diamond bracelet. And again the Southern lady commented, Well, isn't that precious? The first woman then asked the Southern lady, What did your husband buy for you when you had your first child? My husband sent me to charm school, declared the Southern lady. Oh my God, what on earth for? Zrenya asked the first woman. The Southern lady responded, Well, for example, instead of saying, Who gives a shite? I learned to say, Well, isn't that precious? Puttu. There was an old priest who got sick of all the people in his parish who kept confessing adultery. One Sunday from the pulpit, he said, If I hear one more person confess to adultery, I'll quit. Well, everyone liked him, so they came up with a code word. Someone had committed adultery would say they had fallen. This seemed to satisfy the old priest and things went well, until the priest died at a ripe old age. About a week after the new priest arrived, he visited the mayor of the town and seemed very concerned. The priest said, You have to do something about the sidewalk in town. When people come to the confessional, they keep talking about having fallen. The mayor started to laugh, realizing that no one had told the new priest about the code word. Before the mayor could explain, the priest shook an accusing finger at the mayor and said, I don't know what you're laughing about. Your wife fell 3 times this week. Padinondre. Lincoln, a young man, wanted to get his beautiful blonde wife, Lucy, something nice for their 5th wedding anniversary. So he decides to buy her a cell phone. She is all excited. She loves her phone, and he explains all the features on the phone. The next day, Lucy goes shopping. Her phone rings and it's Lincoln. Hi, honey, he says. How do you like your new phone? And she replies, I just love it. It's so small, and your voice is clear as a bell. But there's one thing I don't understand, though. What's that, baby? Asks the husband. How did you know I was at Walmart? Asked Lucy. A man watched his wife preparing dinner and noticed something unusual. Before she fried the sausages, she always cut off both ends and tossed them away, only cooking the middle. Confused, he asked, "Why do you always cut off the ends of the sausages before cooking them?" She shrugged and replied, "I don't know. It's just how my mom taught me." Curious, the next day they visited her mother, and the wife asked, "Mom, why did you teach me to cut off the ends of the sausages?" The mother paused and said, "I'm not really sure. That's just how my mom did it. We should ask her." So the two of them went to the grandmother, and the wife asked, "Grandma, why do we always cut off the ends of the sausages before frying them?" The grandmother smiled and said, "Well, that's just the way my mom taught me." I never really thought about it. We should ask her. Determined to find the answer, the three women traveled to the great-grandmother at her retirement home. After explaining the situation, the great-granddaughter asked, "Great-grandma, why did you teach us to cut off the ends of the sausages?" The elderly woman looked surprised and replied, "You're still doing that? I only did it because my pan was too small to fit the whole sausage." This morning, at 83 years old, I rolled into the Starbucks drive-thru. No rush, just enjoying the day. Behind me, a young woman, clearly in a hurry, starts honking like she's late to a CEO meeting. Hand gestures, deep sighs, you know the type. Now I could have gotten annoyed. But instead, I smiled, and when I got to the first window, I paid for her coffee and mine. The barista gave me a little grin. Bet she told the girl, because when we moved up, little Miss Impatient peeked out, waved and mouthed, "Thank you." A little embarrassed, a little surprised, maybe learning something. But hold on. I got to the second window, took both drinks, and her muffin too, and drove off, real slow. She had to loop all the way back and reorder. Moral of the story, don't rush the seasoned folks. We've got Timecom and a masterclass in payback. With a smile, hit share if this made your day. Life's short. Sip it slowly.